And while I finalize everything, might as well put on this. I do hate it when this happens. But then again, wouldn't be scuff without me taking active consideration. Or without extended break. Have I told you that it's been a stressful couple of days? Both from the mental standpoint and from general gist of things. And yes, I suppose it is unintentional comedy. That's why I keep this track on standby, precisely because of that. Anyway, good evening, afternoon, or whatever time of the day it is in your part of the world, and tonight we're going back to Shadowrun. Yesterday's stream had to be cancelled due to a variety of reasons. As outlined, there's been a bit of a hiccup on my end. But you are not here to listen to all of that, now, are you? Let's actually make, or rather do, this pretty good game justice. What would be a great kids material? A horrible cyberpunk dystopia, indeed. Or Warhammer Adventures, that's also a good option. A coming-of-age young adult novel, precisely as we like it. Now, I have a feeling as to what we're about to encounter down there. Well, it was a cuff fit, which was most likely a psychosomatic thing, considering how it happened. But once again, I'd rather not dwell on it. Some things are better be left dead and buried, or at least forgotten. But it opens up in its own can of worms and... well, let's just focus on the game. Remember, Mr. Drake needs this run to look unprofessional. Shattered glass and looting is encouraged. This is most likely one of the two tomes that we need. Let's have a look. An ancient book. The heavy tome is filled with cramped, spidery black script of an unrecognizable writing system, written on what appears to be ancient papyrus. Occasional kunai form seems to be mixed in. The book is cold to the touch. Back and mostly healthy, and that's good, hopefully. While I am at it, we do have some karma to spare, so let's consider as to what we can spend it on. Most likely it's going to be willpower. Can never have enough willpower when it comes to casting. Not chi casting, spell casting. And before that, and after that, maybe a couple of points into strength as well. Just in case. And don't forget to remind me to grab Chain Lightning after we're done with this run. And, oh look, droplets of blood. You know it's gonna be fun. Then again, there were some incidents at this dig site. And this is supposedly a tomb, so you can draw your own conclusions to what is going to happen in here. At least I don't get flashbacks to the final stretch of Dragonfall. Or I actually am. A terminal which needs someone to jack into, and we did not take Isabel, so that's another thing that we will not be making use of. That's a spirit summoning, and there they are. That's our combat encounter. Guns holstered for now. Let's get into a better position. A gargoyle, and yeah, do you see that? I sure do, Gaichu, I sure do. Time for fun. And of course we miss with our first shot, as is proper. 2 damage, but here we go. Now Gaichu, what do you got? You got your own infected claws, with a basic melee attack, AP 0, and your hand-forged katana comes with damage 8. The opener attack in the water stance chain. Let's see if it's any good. Now Rector, let's get Koshei into the field. There's the melee systems. It's got Smack and Kneecap. Targets vital areas to impede resistance. Target that mummified corpse then. -2 AP. Pretty good, if I do say so myself. As for you, Gobbet, you'll be out here providing some support, so aim on Gaichu. Let's see what their moves next. Another mummified corpse. Saps willpower. And hey, where do you go? Are you... Gobbet is out of it. Gaichu got whisked off to the Shadow Realm, huh? Alright then. Preternatural corpse. Let's see if you can make it any better. And we're back to it. Drone BNR kit. Servo tuning. Rector manually tunes the targeted drone's servos, increasing its quickness and strength for 1 round. Overclock. AP by 1, movement by 2. Manual focusing. Increasing drone's accuracy by 8 to 12%. And repair. I think we can go with overclock. Very good. Now let's look at his firearm systems. We got regular shot and a target locked shot. Target locked shot it is on that gargoyle. And you still miss. Fine, I guess we are dealing with that mummified corpse. And down it goes. Wonderful. Precisely what I wanted to see. That's another crit damage. We are still out of it. Ooh, they're trying to flank us. How cute. That's not so cute. But it's a good thing we took Rector with us. Now, Gaichu, would you be so kind as to tear these gargoyles a new one? Please. Thank you. Thank you kindly. That's a regular Ficcetti Security 500, so we will not be making use of it anytime soon. Rector, you're gonna need to switch your position. And you will continue repenitering, my dear Koshei. Almost got him, almost. Ooh, that's a pretty hefty hit on Gaichu. And I am not whisked away yet. But that gargoyle sure looks menacing. Oof. Another one. And another one. Now I'm starting to wish we'd taken Isabel, because we do need us some AoE damage. Gaichu, you're urgently needed over there. One hit, very good. And I'm guessing we're just gonna shoot away at them. 60% chance to hit. That's alright. Finish off that one. Start working on the gargoyle. Gaichu's a big boy, he can handle that. Besides, he's got a pretty good dodge, it seems. But Willpower Sap is pretty nasty. Now, Mummified Corpse, Mummified Corpse. 1 and 2. Down he goes like a sack of potatoes. Now, can you repair some, or rather, do some manual targeting on Koshei? No, because you do not have a line of sight. That means we're gonna go... Ah, fine. One more hit, very good. Continue blasting away then. Now, Gobbet would you be so kind as to heal up Gaichu again? 2 HP, huh? That's another Noxious Breath, which we should have seen coming. Which means that Gargoyle is now... Congratulations, you are now a priority target. Same goes to you. 1. And start shuffling in this direction. That's a very good miss, thank you. Ooh. That's a nasty hit. Once again, Eagle Totem. Yes, you're gonna eat an advanced medkit to heal yourself. And let's see, Burst Fire or Spray and Pray? Burst Fire it is. Alright, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Now, if we go for a aimed shot, that should be enough to do some damage. Come on! Come on! At least you're whisking away attention from that gargoyle. And it does so again. Gaichu, I need you more than ever now. Not too... Okay, that's a miss. I'm still alive, barely. I am going down. 3 turns to turn this failure of a war around and be back just in time for tea. Hit. Another one, please. Or at least heal up Gaichu. Get yourself to another position, hopefully over here. He attacks Rector. He attacks Gaichu. There we go. I should be up and running soon. One more hit. gargoyle is almost dead. You can stop clawing away. It would be lovely. Alright, no more Mr. Bloody Nice Guy. And they emit poisonous fog around them. Not a good outlook, all things considered. Not a good outlook. But we gotta do what we gotta do, and that was enough. I, however, do not like that Gaichu went down, it seems. Yeah, Gaichu went down, so that means we are reloading. These gargoyles are built different. Also, on the subject of how I'm feeling today, beer. One bottle will not cut it for me, but I'll have to make do. I need to remember to use my items and spells. Get back into the tactical mindset. I missed nothing over here, so we know they'll be coming from us from this direction and from that one too. I will, of course, try to remember that tiny sips are needed to make it last. At least I'll try to. But we'll see how this evening goes. Alright, get into position. Once more with feeling. And that's a miss yet again. Empty stomach also helps. I am not quite sure in that regard. Gobbet, would you be so kind as to perhaps buff my aim? And summon a spirit to help us out. It should stand over there and ward off any unwanted intruders. Ah, there it is. Petrify. Target loses all AP for 2 rounds and cannot attack or move. Should have made use of that previously. Rockskin is also a good choice. Now stay over here and let them come to you. Ooh, that's a nasty hit, but at least it was not too many damage. Totem once again. Hopefully we'll be able to score some hits now. Never mind. XCOM. I will see you burn. You are going to go down, as God is my witness. So stay put and enjoy your stay while you're at it. Ah, it whisked away Cochet, huh? That won't be too bad, right? Yes, these misses are something else, I can tell you. And here comes the second gargoyle. So that is our priority target. Unfortunately, it's quite tough, as is befitting of a gargoyle. One. Yeah, one hit for now, unfortunately. See? And now we'll run away over here so that some of us are not hit by the noxious breath, and we try to tear this guy a new one. Well, at least the gargoyle's claws are a sweeping attack, which means it is hitting everyone. Now it's whisking away Raptor. Ooh, that was a nasty crit. Now this would be a prime grenade spot if I had any on me. But I guess we are getting stuck in. Okay, that was a good crit. Willpower increase. Let's go with Force Nature Elemental 2. Mana Arc. That was alright. Achievement unlocked, Pinball Wizard. Hit 3 or more enemies with a bouncing magic spell. Now kill off that bastard. Almost. Good miss. Yep, go against the elemental and the robot. That would be lovely. Now where was my hit of there? Cram. This should make things a little easier. Right, Eagle Totem. Should have packed a grenade too. But we'll have to make do with that. One. And two. And another one. Almost. Almost got you, you little bastard. Now you die. You die now. 69% chance to hit. Come on, there we go. Fix up your drone. And Gobbet, continue blasting away. Hopefully at the gargoyle. Almost dead. Another mana arc, please. Only hit one. Unfortunate. There goes Noxious Breath again. It's coming close. Yeah, you just keep on attacking the elemental, and you're gonna need to go down right now. Can't get too close to it, so I suppose we'll just move up. Try to shoot it. And that worked. There we go. I just need to remember to use all the tools at my disposal. And there's the second book. Your comlink crackles. You've got the books. Great. Next, you need to head upstairs so I can wipe the security data. Then you're home free. Did you know these creatures were here? No. I planned this run down to the last detail, but those monsters were a happy accident. Great. I'll keep my eyes open for more happy surprises. You do that. Now, time's wasting. Security room's at the top of the stairs leading back into the museum floor. Nothing else, it seems. And once again, we do not have a decker with us to jack into that port, so we are just gonna go. A cadaverous husk materializes in front of you, unfolding like a flower from nothingness into being. It stands with a surprisingly upright posture, and you can see that its robes were once of fine quality. It raises a hand to block your path. Stop! The thing's voice comes out in a hollow rasp. Something about it feels empty. It seems you can move freely through this realm, coming and going, taking what is not yours. What are you? I was once a man, much as you are. Now I am a dead man. My soul is bound to this place, and I cannot leave. So you think I can get you out of here somehow? You can. Slowly, painfully, the mummy inclines its head. It reaches into the folds of its robes and produces a ring of fired porcelain. The creature extends its arm, presenting the object as an offering. Take this talisman and place it among the other artifacts you have mentioned. Once you have moved it beyond the binding threshold of this excavation, I will be free. Let's say that I do this. What's in it for me? The sure knowledge that you have done what is right. How do I know that I can trust you? You don't. How could you? But I am a man of my word. Chad, do we help this recently risen undead out of his grave? Because something rubs me the wrong way in this. You're gonna have to do better than that. When I am free, I will give you a thing, a token. Crumble it in your hands and I will come to your aid, but only once. One time and no more. Will this be sufficient, elf? Will you accept my offer? You trust mummies more than vampires. Then I suppose... Okay, I'll do it. Thank you. I will be forever in your debt. Well, you say forever, but it's one-time use only. Now, where was that security room? Ah, of course, right there. The terminal is powered off. This is the one. Flip the switch in the bottom right, then plug in the data chip. The script will doctor the security lock so we can sneak you out. Do just that. It's executing now. There's a pause. You can hear him clicking his tongue like a metronome. And done. Get out of there. There better not be any more surprises. And again, there is a ley line over here, and just as I thought. It's only 3 of them. So maybe, for a change, things will go our way. I unfortunately am too far. Force to Earth Elemental Fetish. No, there's the frag grenade. I just need to get a little closer. Raptor, how about you go over here? And you, Gobbet, can stay... No, that was me. Gobbet can stay over here then, over the ley line. And she can actually hit someone from that side, but it's only 25% chance. I'm still gonna give it a try. And yeah, that was a miss. Well, you might as well get a little closer. Now, Gobbet. Gonna move you over here. Any other spells you can do? There is always aim, which you can cast on me. And she is also being healed by that. 59% chance, not liking those odds. But we did hit. And you, Captain, are getting Gaichu's attention. Congratulations. Raptor, get Koshei up and running. And Koshei gets to rip it and tearing. Meanwhile, you can buff him with another move so that he can kill that enforcer this turn. Or at least get it almost dead. Now that was not nice, therefore you are gonna get down. But first, Eagle Totem. And now, blasting. Start blasting. Ooh, that was a pretty good bounce. Thank you, ley lines. Good hit. Another one, please. Tune those servos up. Heal me up as well. That's always welcome. Now, will you be able to do some damage? By some, I mean even more. No, you missed. But so do they. We can work with that. Absolutely. Good hit. One more. Down he goes. Gaichu, will you do the honors? Once more. But you should be able to finish her off, right? 1 and 2. Almost. Not quite, so we'll move you up. Gobbet will have to move up as well. We are almost done here, so Gaichu, if you please. Change of plans. Search those bodies for a keel fob. You'll need it to access the side door. There's a side door? In the lobby. My program didn't work as well as I'd expect. I've been monitoring the exits on my cameras and the HKPF have the front locked down. Since you can't go to the front now, you've got to exit out on the side. That key will get you through the locked side door, which will take you out the east service exit. There it is. And that's the side door. I imagine there will be even more combat encounters, considering there are ley lines over there. Yep, there they are. Can we heal up our boy Gaichu? Not yet, it seems. But I can at least give him some nitro. That should work. Unfortunately, that door is locked. Otherwise, we maybe would have been able to go for a cheeky flank. But as it stands, we'll just go in guns blazing. Of course they have a sniper. Which means we are getting the fuck into cover. And healing ourselves. Immediately. Same goes for you. Heal yourself. Into cover. In fact, everyone should go into cover. It's a grand idea. Even if it takes you 2 AP. Into cover you go. And then the guy with the shotgun is getting hurt. We're going all in on the melee mode. Can't quite reach the sniper just yet. So we'll have to work our way to them, like that. Thank you for the overclock. Gobbet will get over here as well. And yes, absolutely. That's one of them incapacitated. And good thing Gaichu is still in cover, so they cannot do much to him. Eagle Totem. And Mana Bolt to the face. For you. Wonderful. The ley lines are putting in their work. Now servo tuning on Koshi. Gobbet will start blasting too. Come on. There we go. That's my girl. 1 and 2. And now, Mr. Sniper, you're not looking too hot, you know that? Damn shame. Let me help with that. And Gobbet, please. There we go. Now let's reel that sucker in and get out of here. All in all, not a bad run. Your adrenaline wanes as you fly through the subway tunnels on your way back to Hawaii. There isn't much left to do but pick the shards of glass off your clothes and congratulate yourself on one hell of a run. It's just too bad you couldn't keep the looted antiques. Yeah, that was 10,000 worth of new yen. By the end, you'd managed to steal over 10,000 new yen worth of items in your client. See? A number that will hopefully be reflected in your mission pay. The damage you caused will likely set the museum's development back even farther. Not enough to cripple the project, just enough to send a message. By the end of the day, you still managed to break a lot of exhibits, displays, and even the faces of a few tomb crawlers, the presence of which had conveniently slipped Drake's mind. Surprises aside, you came out on top, and thanks to some quick thinking on Drake's part, you got the books, and you got out. The game certainly takes its sweet time when it comes to loading, but it's all worth it. I wouldn't say that the gargoyles were exhibits. They were just present. Now we got 19 karma to spare, so once again, let's remember what we were spending it on. We were boosting our strength up to 5. And then we are also getting our willpower up to 5 as well. Now let's see about that pay data. A diminutive female orc regards you with a sharp, challenging look. The fierceness of her expression contrasts sharply with her sweet, rounded face and neat bob. She flexes her cyber fists. She fires off a rapid-fire approach in a thick Filipino accent. Why are you staring like that? Didn't anybody teach you manners? She plants her fists on her leather-clad hips and jets her chin out at you. Relax, I didn't mean to stare. You're a stranger on my turf. I expect people to be civil to one another. No offense intended. If you insist, sure, I apologize. It's alright. I can tell you're a newcomer. I just feel a little protective of my part of town. I'm Rosario Ignacio, or to the members of my community, Cherry Pink. I specialize in transport missions and nanny services, and I occasionally Shadowrun for walking around money. I can also fry up a mean batch of lumpia, but you can't have any unless I like you. I'm not familiar with Philippine cuisine, so I cannot say what is lumpia. Yeah, that's my question. You said you make great lumpia. What is that exactly? Filipino spring rolls, crispy and delicious and full of pork, or whatever pork-flavored substitute is on sale. It's important to be frugal. It has suddenly become very important to me that you like me. Then you must earn it. Everybody wants to be my friend because everybody wants lumpia. Only a handful deserve it. Fair enough. The audio dropped several decibels. Maybe I'll need to tweak the sound a little bit. Just a teeny tiny bit. Like so. Cherry Pink seems like an odd choice for a street name. It's a bona fide Filipino nickname. Unless you want a mouthful of fist, you'll show it respect. Okay. You said you're a nanny? Look around you. Actually, yeah. Maybe I'll need to adjust the mic a little bit. But in a bit. Anyway, look around you. See these Shadowrunners and dealers of contraband and Johnsons? There's a fair number who have kids, though they won't shout from the rooftops. It's usually too dangerous to keep family close. That's where I come in. Shadow nannies are a great idea. No more bringing my baby into combat situations. I've shuttled kids in and out of war zones. I've got into hiding with little ones for months on end while their parents had to lie low. I've taught children good manners, hygiene, and the proper use of firearms for over 20 years. That's a good skill set to have in mind. Hey, that's fascinating. But I got things to do, so... Go. Be on your way. That probably came off as rude. I hope we'll make up to her a little later. But now let's see about that pay data. Inbox for new messages. Not yet. Jobs directory. Claim payment for museum run. Well done. You went above and beyond what I asked and liberated some truly precious artifacts. I've attached the payment you've owed, plus settled a bonus. I trust that you'll keep quiet about what exactly was liberated from Lou's little museum. I'll come collect the books from Kindly Cheng shortly. Thank you for that. 1,900 new yen. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Anything new on Shadowland? There is. Typhoon warning. This newscast just aired. If anyone wants to watch real-time Isobar data of Earth or Earthsat images of the storm, the basic service paywall and Skywatcher imagery is still easily circumvented. The Imperial Japanese Meteorological Agency today issued an advanced typhoon warning for the northern Philippines at the coast of the Guangdong Confederation, as tropical storm Usagi has grown into a full-strength typhoon, Category 3 in the Pacific. Rabbit, huh? I wonder if it's actually related to that one war criminal. Typhoon Usagi has formed late in the year for such a powerful storm. Meteorologists credit this growing trend of awakened cold season typhoons to global warming and powerful magical vortices in the eastern Pacific, which appears to help drive moist air convective over cooler ocean waves. According to the official release by Lance Inroki of the IGMA, Usagi is now identified as an awakened storm. We have observed strong lightning activity, electromagnetic anomalies, and extreme concentrations of awakened seabirds along its edges. Awakened storms exhibit anomalous physical and magical behavior. Many experts believe they show reactive intelligence and possibly even self-awareness and will resist making landfall to prolong their lives, even holding position against prevailing winds. Study of these storms is inhibited by their extreme environmental conditions and astral turbulence. In physical strength, Usagi may peak as a violent typhoon, Category 5 on the Eastern Pacific scale, but will weaken substantially before making landfall. Yeah, right. Although Mariner lore is replete with tales of malicious storms, scientists have detected no provable animosity towards metahumans in the behavior of these miracles of nature. Learn more on Wild Storms of the Pacific, this week's episode of Savage Nature with host Bertrand Madoniker. The Guangdong coast will likely have a long precursor battering, with drenching rains but moderate winds as Usagi stalls offshore. Usagi is one of the more powerful storms of the season, but it's not unusual. Usagi does not have super typhoon potential. This is gonna be perfect. A long, soft hit by Usagi. Lots of electromagnetic interference, security and cops all tied up. It's running season. Blood Meridian. Someone's a fan of a book, I think. I hope everyone's ready for a high operational tempo. Our fixer's already scrambling for crews. Speculous. Oh yeah, Hurricane Bunny. Bunny Girl, maybe even. I heart storms. Hatch. Okay, verse smack, huh? They're still at it. Come one, come all, and welcome to what could be very well the last Shadowland Poetry Slam. There's something kind of said about that. End of an era. Jivebert. In honor of Jivebert, I created an expert system that writes haikus. It takes whatever's being said in a thread and turns it into a poem. Mind if I fire it up? Snozbert. Oh, that's gonna go swimmingly. Snozzy, you shouldn't have. What kind of poetry slam includes bots? This is lame. Now you are mad. Homage to Jivebird. The program stirs, churns out text. 3 lines mar the piece. Jivebot. That's brilliant. Now I can hang up my quill. I really don't buy that a bot can produce poetry like a living, breathing, feeling human being. Sorry. Tennyson. This is bullshit. Despair grips the poets. A machine crafting haikus. The Jivebot breaks free. Was that supposed to happen? The slam is now slammed. The program has broken loose. Pandemonium. Well, look on the bright side. How much damage can a runaway poetry bot do anyway? Do you really want to know? Do you really want to know? You fucking people. The hunt continues. And despite their efforts, no one has yet to come forward. The government of Henan has denied all connection with the terrorist fugitives, even going so far as to state that the White Star organization no longer exists. There has still been no word from the HKPF on the whereabouts of the fugitive terrorists. Oh hey, they're talking about us. On TV yet again. The mood on the streets is nervous. There is no telling when or where these terrorists will strike. For now, the Special Duties Unit of the HKPF remains on active alert, ready to respond at a moment's notice. This is Sunny Cheng with Horizon News, signing off. What a load of crap. Are they gonna convince us a bunch of crazy terrorists got into the Fez and just disappeared under their noses, huh? This would never happen if Lone Star was the sole police force here. Kobatar. Sure, because heavily armed terrorists never sneak into Lone Star cities like Chicago and Seattle, only to disappear and remain free to roam the streets after they engage in public gun battles. Heaven shot. There's no way Henan is connected to these people. If they really were White Star, they'd have struck already. Their entire modus operandi is suicide bombings and civilian casualties. If these people are hiding, they're probably on the wrong side of a setup. Liu V 2.0. See? There's some thinking people out there. Sure, because everybody in the shadows is just some bleeding heart fighting the megas because they believe in freedom. Grow the hell up. Shut up, Dongjang. You don't know me. Looking for tailor for special job. Searching for a tailor for some unusual custom work. Red Star 123. I might know a guy. Is this for armor? Scorpion. Not exactly. It's a surprise birthday gift for a friend. A friend's drone, actually. Gobet, what are you up to? What exactly do you want a tailor to make for a drone? A cat costume, with soft little ears and paws. Or, better yet, a bear suit. Ooh, or a red samurai outfit. I even have reference that I can provide. Okay. You got a fat stack of new yen? This is gonna cost. I'll find the new yen. Can you help me? This'll be so worth it. Yeah, I'll hook you up. Gobet. You and I are gonna have a little talk. I might even chip in. Can't get a flight to Seattle. Hey, I've got a problem I'm hoping one of you can help with. I came out to the Fez 2 weeks ago for work. Now that the job is wrapped, I've been trying to get an urgent under-the-table flight to Seattle for the past week. Off the books, no passport control, that kind of thing. Nobody's making the trip. What gives? Hankfire. Check the news feeds, man. Haven't you heard? The Seattle is on lockdown. Nothing coming out into or out of the city without a thorough search for at least another week. They caught some smugglers trying to move into some really nasty stuff and through a covert landed at Discovery Park. D-Ray. Aw, that seems like a bit of an overreaction. Tons of awful stuff moves through Seattle every day. What's so different about this time? Not like this. You didn't hear it from me, but I have some friends with ICE. They say whatever it was, it set off radiological alarms off the Coast Guard ship that was sweeping the area. We're talking fissionable material here, enriched and ready to go in a bomb. Under watch. No way. I don't buy that for a second. More likely some corp had an accident with one of their ships and dumped some radiological material. They just don't want to admit it, so City Hall is covering their asses. Phaedra. Don't dismiss the news so lightly. The smugglers were carrying cargo for winter night. It's only pure luck the cargo was intercepted at all. Adariel. Ooh. Winter Knight is nasty, after all. Who the hell is Winter Knight? Sounds like a goblin rock band. D-Ray? Not who. What? All you need to know is this. Winter Knight is bad news. You cross them, they destroy your life. You ever run into any of them on a job? I suggest a solution that comes in 7.62mm. Prudent advice. Really prudent. Now let's bump the levels a little bit. How's that sound? Hopefully not too bad. And finally, new Pinoy in HK. Hi there, just arrived in HK from CFS and want to meet other runners from the Philippines. Salamat po. Quezon City Blues. Anyone? I make really good pancit. Well, why didn't you say so right away? Kumusta po kayo? Lots of former Hook families here. Peaches. Welcome, Princess Reyes. Hi. Tagasan ka? Me from Manila. I'm a decker. You? Talaga. QC here. I'm a decker too. Pancit is fine and good, but can you also make dinuguan? PM me if you can. Makati Mike. What? Well, yeah, chain lightning. I'll remind you. I'll get to it in a bit. Kumusta? Tita darling. Nice to meet you, QC Blues. Sammy Boy. Hi there, Street Mage here. Might know some Pinoy runners looking for a new decker. Happy days. Welcome. Heh. Well, ain't that nice when you find your diaspora and they're actually good people. No paid data to post. Now what were those messages? Geomantic sabotage. Sure, let's check on that one. Geomancy is big business in the free enterprise zone. Here in Hong Kong, Feng Shui isn't just the act of rearranging your kitchen to make things look pretty. The fortunes of empires rise and fall with the ebb and flow of qi, and sometimes that flow needs a helping hand. Wuxing Incorporated and the preeminent practitioners of large-scale qi manipulation here in Free Enterprise Zone, they've gotten to great lengths to channel qi from all over Hong Kong into their headquarters, an enormous monstrosity that they call the Wuxing Sky Tower. There it is focused and transformed into good fortune through the building's geometrically attuned architecture and interior decoration. Our client believes that it is time for Wuxing's good luck to run out. You are to infiltrate the Sky Tower and disrupt the flow of qi throughout the building, but you are to do so in two distinct fashions. First, you must disrupt the feng shui of the office, by slightly altering the environment of that level. This will consist of minor adjustments of desks, spilled water, and other small activities that are unlikely to be noticed. Ordinarily, even subtle disturbances of this nature would be noticed. This is why the client wishes you to make as much louder demonstration on the rooftop garden. The garden is to be ransacked, utterly destroyed, set fire to things, uproot trees, that kind of thing. Our client has also specified that he would like you to destroy the large Buddhist statue in the garden. Smash the thing to bits and leave them scattered across the rooftop. I see how it is. This level of destruction will keep Wuxing's geomancers busy long enough that the more subtle disruptions below will take effect. In addition, I will send the kind of message our client would like Wuxing to hear. I have utmost faith in your ability to cause destruction. The more disruption you can cause on high levels of Sky Tower, the happier the client will be. Given your own skills with magic, you should have an easy time identifying the most effective ways to disrupt the qi of the building. Maybe a little later. I hear that one mission is very tedious. Restaurant job. One of the things I've learned over the years is that even the rich and powerful have annoyances. Thorns on their side, if you will. No one is without troubles. The rich just have different ways of solving them. The client for this run has grown tired of one particular from the thorn in his side. Chen Seng Rooster Law. Law is a red pole for one of the smaller triads here in Hong Kong, the 289s, or the Easy Money Gang, if you prefer. Despite the 289's small stature, Law's illegal activities have managed to damage the client's profits. Mr. Johnson would like you to help him show Law the error of his ways. Law takes an evening every few months to dine at the Shangri-La restaurant in Aberdeen. If you aren't aware, the Shangri-La is an elite establishment serving primarily corporate clientele from Wuxing Incorporated. Because of this, it is not unusual for diners to bring bodyguards or assistants with them. In Law's case, he brings a particularly brutish enforcer known as the Talon, and undoubtedly feels well protected. You're going to prove just how wrong he is in this regard. You are to kidnap Rooster Law. So long as he is alive and in relatively good health, all options are on the table. While keeping the run quiet would make things easier for Mr. Johnson, no one will shed too many tears over a few dead Triad thugs. The client has arranged an exit via boat. So long as you can get Law from the interior to the restaurant's dock, the client will handle everything else. Despite being a Red Pole, Law is a tactician, not a fighter. Don't expect him to put up much of a fight. The Talon, on the other hand, is as nasty as they come. Be careful about how you confront him, or things may go very badly. We'll go about it later. And finally, urgent task. Little birds have been whispering in my ear about an urgent and high-paying run. Steel Arm Lou, a Red Pole, managed to get his hands on information concerning a prototype laser weapon in development by Ares Asia Holdings. Ooh. For years, the Yellow Lotus and the Red Dragon have been locked in a cold war. Despite this, we remain evenly matched. Neither one of us can attack the other without being exposed to devastating reprisals. Lou wants to change this, and he has a plan. Rather than strike directly, Lou intends to aim external forces at the Red Dragon, specifically Knight Errant. He intends to frame a white paper fan named Golden Fong, making it appear that the Red Dragon have been bribing Ares researchers for classified data. 2 leading drone and energy weapons researchers have recently transferred from London to Hong Kong, and are running the project. Sounds familiar. Doctors Taylor and Hardingham were respected in Europe, but in Hong Kong they remain unknown quantities. They are untrusted, and therefore are considered untrustworthy. Perfect targets, in other words. We will provide data that will make it look as if the researchers were contacted by Golden Fong, and made quite a bit of money, but grew tired of the arrangement. Transfer the attached files to a data chip. The files are bundled with a worm program which will auto-execute when inserted into the appropriate systems. You need not bring a decker, though one may be helpful. You will need to plant data in the visitor record system, the camera systems in Hardingham and Dr. Taylor's lab, financial data to be transferred to Dr. Taylor's personal terminal. That in and of itself will be enough to ensure Knight Errant involvement. However, planting data is only the first part of your task. That is where a heavier touch will be required. You will also need to steal the prototype laser weapon. There is a GPS tracking device attached to it, which Lou will plant deep in Red Dragon territory. The apparent theft of a prototype weapon by a disgruntled Triad member should convince Ares to dispatch overwhelming force against the Red Dragon, dealing them a vicious blow. As a note, Lou does not care what becomes of the laser weapon. If you wish to sell it or keep it, feel free. I've also attached a map of your extraction route from the building. During the facility's expansion in 2052, Ares Asia was forced to extend their foundations deeper into the island. They drove piles through the former site of the central MTR station, which partially collapsed during the Dalu Bay earthquake of 2044. Basically, this means that you can exit through the basement directly onto the new MTR line through Central. With any luck, you can be gone without anyone knowing how. Unfortunately, this route is heavily alarmed, so you will be forced to go in the front door. If you can con the front desk, you should have no problems. The facility is both an office and a residence, so strange people coming and going at odd hours is not unusual. If you're not up to that talk, however, be prepared to shoot your way in. Lou does not care if you are loud or quiet, but a word of caution. He came by all this information via the loose lips of one of the research team. Other fixers know of this job. Move fast, and you are guaranteed success. But there are definitely other Shadowrunners with an eye on your prize. And that is the mission that Rector has been looking for. Very well. Steel Arm Lou sends his regards and bids you good fortune and plentiful ammunition. The dramatic git. Don't die. Our arrangement has been very profitable so far, and I would hate to lose that. We'll be definitely going to do that, and we'll definitely be taking both Rector and Gaichu for that. And Isabel too, most likely. But this will have to remain to be seen. There it is. Mummy Spirit Talisman. Summons the spirit of a long-dead sorcerer. The fetish is consumed when used. In the meantime, I think we can take Relaxin. And let's catch some Z's. You wake with a start. Once again, you've tangled in your sheets drenched in sweat. Your throat feels like it's on fire. You can't remember what your dreams were about, not precisely. But again, you feel that yearning sensation, the emptiness in your gut and in your chest. Your head throbbing, you heave yourself out of bed. It happened again. Let's see, do we have any sort of updates? Not? No, we do. So, for Gobbet, we decided to go on the downmost route, which is Spiritualist. Gain Rat Totem, Steal Spirit. Gobbet's Rat Totem invocation can steal control of spirits that have been summoned by enemy shamans. Note that only one spirit can be under control until rank 5 spirit control, where it's increased to 2. Sounds good. Isabel. Espionage. Augment ability. Mark target. That's always good to have. Mark target now reduces the target's armor by 1. Ooh, that's pretty good. Duncan. Crowd control. Ability, subdue. Duncan's subdue ability now has its cooldown reduced from 3 rounds to 2. Not too bad. Gaichu. We decided to go with this one, which is Red Samurai. Ability, Shuriken. Gaichu gains a ranged ability, a quick Shuriken toss. And Rakter is going down the Mangler route for Koshei, which gives him a rotary saw. This attack's critical chance is greatly boosted. If you say so. Now, before I forget, and thank you for reminding me, by the way, time to grab the Chain Lightning. Hello there, Crafty. Immediately when entering, you notice the clutter. Somehow the small magic shop is even messier than before. Stacks and stacks of books occupy chairs, tables, and the tops of shelves. There seems to be even more than when you first visit it. It's as if you just entered a paper factory and it's spawning season. Ah, what a welcome sight. Have you found anything? Not too much. How about you? This mind-numbing tedium is starting to pay off. Check this out. The dreams that everyone's having, they aren't really dreams. They're omens. From what I've gathered, we're walking a fine line here. They're pretty dangerous. Attempts to interpret them could lead to mixed results. What do you mean by omens? You know, omens. Harbingers of doom and gloom and bad things to come. Just a minute. Omen. A sign that warns of future events by way of visionary creatures or hallucinations. And that means... Apparently these sorts of portents are commonly linked with malign places and disaster sites. They're caused by leakage through wounds between our world and the astral plane. Okay, great. That means we can seal them, right? I'm not sure we can. At least I haven't found anything about that in my mother's texts yet. We don't want to dive into this haphazardly. Remember, these omens can be dangerous. How are they dangerous? If they're in here, it says these visions, or dreams, or whatever you want to call them, are real. They're open to interpretation, but interpreting them incorrectly can be disastrous. Astral place is a place of dream logic. Taking the things you see too literally can be even more dangerous than ignoring them. So whatever we do, interpret or ignore, we're inviting trouble. You've got it. The slim chance we have to dig for some sort of meaning is through interpretation. But it's not easy to interpret a dream, and it's even more difficult to separate the nonsense from the substance. Can you interpret the dreams? I can't help you interpret your dreams. Whatever they're trying to impart, it's beyond me. All I can do is keep reading. There has to be something in this library that can help us understand what's happening. We're already making strides. Thanks, Crafty. I do my best. Now let's have a look at your wares. Ooh, there's a nifty upgrade. Powerbolt 3. It requires spellcasting 5, however. So maybe we can settle for Acid Bolt 3, but that one also requires spellcasting 5. Maybe... Acid Bolt requires Conjuring 3, actually. Maybe we can go with Powerbolt 2 at least. Oh, and Chain Lightning. That one needs spellcasting 6. That's what I've been saving the karma for. How could I have forgotten? I'm gonna take it anyway. Lightning Bolt 3. Minus 1 AP. 18 damage. Spellcasting 7. Intelligence 4. I really should have invested a bit more into other things. Mana Bolt 3, Spellcasting 5. Acid Stream 2, Lightning Bolt 2. Well. We'll have to make do with this one for now. See you soon. Now, spellcasting. What's it at right now? 4. We'll need some karma, and I think the next run will be able to help with that. The next one should definitely be easier. Reliable Matthew is not here, it seems. No, he is here. Not gonna go to Mahjong Parlor yet. There's Maximum Law. Now, where's that rubber duck? I'm gonna need to stock up on medical supplies. Otherwise, I'm gonna find myself in a sticky situation. And I'd rather not. Could be over here. No, does not look like it. Maybe somewhere down here. What's a man gotta do to get some medical treatment around here? Also no, it seems. I don't suppose we can ask Kindly Cheng? Or Dr. Shen Yang? No, Dr. Shen Yang is the guy that gave us a run. Kindly Cheng appears to be here nearing the end of a harsh exchange with Strangler Bao, who is listening intently. So you tell that little pustule that Auntie Cheng isn't fucking happy, you get it? Not happy at all. Don't tell him that I'm displeased, tell him that I didn't take it well. Tell him that I'm extremely chopping mad, and if he does not want what happened to Yi to happen to him, he'd better get his head and his ass wired together and get me that payment. Today. Was that message clear enough, Mr. Bao? Yes, Mrs. Cheng. I'll explain things to him in terms he can understand. Ah, our new minted Shadowrunner. How are you taking to a new role? It's a job, same as any other. I have no doubt, my sweet. I could smell your pragmatism the moment we met. And how is Mr. Gunshow doing with his new life? He should be okay. Just needs some time to get used to all of this. Very good, my dear, very good. Was there something specific you came to see me about? Any word on the plastic-faced man? Not yet. He is elusive. clearly a man who knows how to stay out of the public eye. But I have my network running working day and night to find him, and I still have some favors that I can call in if need be. I'll find him. It's only a matter of time. I have good news as well. One of my people managed to tap into the communications of the HKPF Special Duties Unit. If any word of our plastic-faced friend or Raymond Black crosses their door, I'll be the first to know it. For now, you go about your business. I'm sure that more work will come your way any moment. I will contact you when there is news. Okay then. And for you? What are you, slow? I got nothing else for you till you get the dirt and ma. You got a job, now go to it. Fine, fine. No need to be so pushy. You'll get your little problem taken care of. But where is the man that I'm looking for? Maybe I haven't looked in all of the directions. And he is somewhere a little bit away, like here. Or actually down here. I haven't really checked there too much. Aha! A massive steel security door is set into a bunker-like concrete wall. There is no sign or identification of what this place is. A battered intercom is encased in a cage of welded steel and armor glass. Grainy letters are barely readable on the screen. Chrome Alley. Medical services and mechanical repair. Premises protected by deadly weapons and infectious diseases. What do you want? Knock knock, I need some medicine. Haha, very funny. Listen guy, I don't know you. I don't like people I don't know. What are you doing here? Who sent you? I'm friends with Isabel and Gobbet. Yeah, those two drag some real prizes out in the river. You get Nightjar to vouch for you, I'll consider giving you the time of day. Got it? You don't keep up with current events, do you? Nightjar is dead. Crying shame if that's true. I saw that one coming. So you just washed up with Isabel and Gobbet, huh? You know what that tells me? You're here today and you'll be gone tomorrow. I'll keep my distance. Kindly will vouch for me. Yeah, you just idle your engine here there for a minute. I'll check on that. The door gives several heavy metallic clicks. There's a dull rumble, like heavy bolts sliding back. A green light flashes on the terminal. The door appears to be unlocked. You can enter the clinic. And hello there. Once again. Spindly mechanical arms swing from inobtrusive wall mounts, pulling down crepe paper ribbons and swooping food platters and empty beer bottles into biohazard bags. A severely crippled Caucasian man sits in a wheelchair amidst the maelstrom of mess and robotics. He's in his 40s, thick beard, tungsten earrings, beer belly, one cyber eye, both his legs are missing, one at the tip, the other at the knee. He has only one arm and only 3 fingers remain on his surviving hand. His face and arms show the scars of reconstructive surgery. Sounds like a bad encounter with an explosive. He grins widely at you, regarding you with bloodshot eyes. He is clearly hungover. Hey, I'm Ambrose, he shouts cheerfully in English, his words piling together in a loose Midwestern accent. They call me Ten Arms. Welcome to the con, fellow UCASian. He chuckles, his chest shaking with mirth. A Waldo arm springs to life and swings over to him. Its medicine metal pincer momentarily sets a cigarette between his lips, just long enough for him to inhale from it. Kindly says you're all right. What can I do for you? You're a doctor? Sure I am. I'm a rigger doctor. A rockter. Oh man, I cannot laugh that hard today. Too much partying last night. It hurts. I'm not board certified, but don't worry, I should be. I'm full unskilled. My work's yellow load is guaranteed and precisely in accordance with World Medical Association standards. Everybody in Hawaii comes to me, 'cause I'm the only option. Very well, Rockter. Wait, how did a rigger end up operating a clinic? How do you think? I mean, it's not much to look at, but I'm called 10 arms because I can run 10 armatures at once. My question is, why don't more surgeons do this way? Yeah, best method acting when it comes intentionally or unintentionally. I was more asking how you get your medical training. I have a colorful history. Let's leave it at that. Yeah, I can tell by your condition. The front door can stop a bulldozer. Why so fortified? Are you kidding? Have you any idea how much all this stuff is here is worth? This is a high capital operation, and life's dangerous for a guy missing most of his members, tooling up smugglers and criminals. Let me tell you what. Someone busts in here, they're gonna be in a world of hurt. There's a lot more than pipes and wires up in the false ceiling, and I've got kindly screw in the Club 80 boys on the panic button. They know which side their bread is chromed on. What, you thinking of trying to knock me over? You're from the UCAS Midwest. How do you land in Hong Kong? Well, that's a long story, and kinda personal. It involved some jobs, a girl, a real good reason to leave Chicago, a whole shit ton of guns and money. Chicago. Are you following the news on of the quarantine? Yeah, I am. It's a terrible thing that just happened there. My old hood is inside the containment zone. A lot of good peeps locked behind that wall. Supposedly it's insect spirits, but it's being covered up. I know. I saw the leaked material too. Some of the footage is pretty convincing. Megavitus plague, bug spirits. I'm not sure which is more scary. Hell, maybe it's The Walking Dead. Think about it. We got at least 4 HMHVV variants. I think it's only a matter of time until we get zombies. I'd take zombies over these bug spirit things, tell you what. Guns and money were involved? Sounds like a good story. Shadowrunning? Yeah, stuff like that. I was a hardcore vehicle rigger back then, before Johnny Law cracked down on road rigs. Man, those were the cowboy days. Freaky as hell, but great to remember. We rebuilt trucks and chop shops, reinforced the frames, bolt armor on, mods the suspension with robotics, driving through the front windows of buildings, then bash aside the Lone Star cruisers on the way out. Good times. You do that in Hong Kong, you get auto barricades and a missile anema. Crying shame. Anyway, I need to get out of Chi-Town. Spread my wings. You know how that goes. Hong Kong seems like a long way to just go to get a break from Chicago. Sometimes a guy just needs a change of scene. The girl was involved in you getting here, huh? Yeah, there was. That's a story for another day. Hey, it's grand we're digging up the wreckage of the past, but time's a-wasting. I left Chicago, I landed in Hong Kong. After a while of running the Hong Shadows, I landed here in Chrome Alley. That's really the gist of it. Now we'd better get back to earning a living. Show me your services then. Sure thing. Tune-up or spare parts? Medical supplies. While I get the money to spare, I'm gonna grab 2 advanced medkits, 1 Doc Wagon Trauma Kit, and I'm thinking 1 Doc Wagon Gold Trauma Kit. Should be good enough. Eats into my budget considerably, but that should be fine. Now, one moment. Alright, that's taken care of. And I'm thinking we can leave it at that for now. Although I suppose we can exchange the Doko for a regular trauma kit, just in case. Anyway, what do you do here? What do? Tune-ups and engine rebuilds. On your ass. I do it all. Second aid, first aid, second aid, surgery, cybernetics, obstetrics, euthanasia. I'm your one-stop shop for health and beauty. Well, maybe not beauty. I don't modify myself. Any reason I come around here for medical gear? Shoot, this is a friendly little neighborhood. I love it when people come by and bullshit. Hell, I host birthdays. Nope, that's not too good anymore. Full of spit and cigarette ash. What sort of medical services do you offer? Oh, nothing you'd be interested in. Right now I'm mostly doing engine mechanics and electrical stuff. I sent Maximum Law and Reliable Matthew any work they can handle. I'm really just a hobby. It's really just a hobby and service to the community. I make my nut with the clinic. He looks fondly over a massive, partially assembled V8 engine occupying part of the operating theater. That baby's gonna be a goddess when I'm done with her. So you were a Hong Kong Shadowrunner. I was. I sure don't look much like one now. Ah, man, that feels good. So there's a particular way this kind of conversation goes. I don't know if you're familiar with it. Yeah, we orbit around each other for a while and tacitly agree to speak in only the vaguest of terms. The grapevine says it's your first rodeo, but I'm not sure I believe that. Listen, I'm circumspect about my past, and you're a new active runner, so I don't want to know any of your story. It's only a liability to me. So let's make this conversation useful. I'll cut the BS and give you some lowdown on Hong Kong from an expat runner perspective. In return, you don't dig on my jobs list. Deal? Deal. Rock solid. Hong Kong's a good lily pad for a derby crusher like yourself. The shadows are deep, the money flows, it's friendly to foreigners, and there's no real government. The whole place is run by corporations and syndicates. However, as fresh meat off the boat, you've got to decide who you want to be. Foreign runners follow 3 career paths in Hong Kong. They assimilate, they burn their bridges and get out fast, or they die. If you're a short-timer, you can be as violent and splashy as you want. But if you're in for the long haul, learn the local arts. Discretion, restraint, respect. Get that long-term face, and don't embarrass people. The Hong Kong shadows grind through expendable runners who are loaded up with bad face and then dumped in Victoria Harbor. So whatever you do, watch your back. So kindly skipping us around for her untouchable work, huh? Yeah, most likely. You're not just deniable, you're disposable. And she can hire that out. So, this isn't Seattle. Decide who you want to be. Ambrose shrugs, a lopsided gesture with the stump of his missing arm bound in scar tissue. Seattle, by the way, is the default setting for Shadowrun games. Just so that I throw it out there, with Hong Kong being the second most popular destination, and Berlin, well, we've been to Berlin already. The other thing to remember is that Hong Kong is a really complex place. It's one of the great global cities, with enclaves of every major megacorp. It's a syndicate town, it's a refugee magnet, and it's Guangdong. At some level, anything goes here. But, when in doubt, assume that old Hong Kong tradition rules. I say that it's a loud-mouthed bastard. Be polite, be modest, honor favors, maintain face, give respect, and always treat people's time as valuable. You seem pretty into this, Ambrose. Hong Kong fascinates me. I used to hate it here, now I love it. I've found a nice little piece. If you survive, maybe you can too. And you sure do seem like a survivor. People know who I am, but only in the network. Kindly runs this neighborhood like a separate country. You paddle a boat across the canal and no one's ever heard of me and never would. Anyway, it's private. We speak the same language, Ambrose. Good. I'm glad we both appreciate having a little puddle of quiet. Well, that's my wisdom. Wait, what am I saying? My wisdom is you can never be too low profile, too lawyered up, or too well armed. Well, that's it. Goodbye, Ambrose. Time for me to go. Cheers. Talk to you later. Just a quick look around. This electro-furnace room has been built out as a medical clinic and a machine shop. The air is alive with the rumble of the furnaces and the hum of cooling fans. It's sweltering. The front area is more like a homey coffee house than a clinic lobby. Comfortable old furniture, used digipads, coloring books. The wall opposite of boilers is clustered with a mixture of photos and prints. Local artists' work, images of military vehicles, off-road racing, Rube Goldberg machines, personal photos, old-time Chicago gangsters, the Desert Wars Motorized Combat Division. Let's glance around the clinic space. The work area looks more like a machine shop than a medical theater. A roboticized operating table and a hydraulic lift supporting a partly disassembled V8 engine occupy places of equal importance against the north and south walls. Prosthetic limbs are racked overhead like machine parts. A heavy lift hoist is clamped to an I-beam. An impressive home-built computer sits against the far wall. Several bulkier towers sit under the desk, fans whirring. It looks more like a sysadmin Decker's server station than a doctor's terminal. The floors are scuffed concrete, stained with grease and old blood. The faint odors of ammonia, gasoline, and antiseptic mingle in the air. A large sign on the back wall reads, "Sanitary space, no spitting." Inspect personal photos. The pictures are mostly of Hawaii residents, holidays, and parties. 10-armed Ambrose is in many of them. The vast scope of photos suggests that Ambrose must be acquainted with almost everyone in Hawaii. And the computer over there, I hope you don't mind. This impressive home-built computer is running multiple large memory units and processors. Chilled air from active cooling system washes across you to the whir fans. A thin fiber optic cable runs across the floor to Ambrose in his chair. On the wall behind the computer are miscellaneous decorations, notes, and photos. 2 items stand out, a large dry-ease calendar and a cork board plastered with printouts. News clippings and BBS posts have been printed, carefully snipped, and pinned on place. Most are less than a year old. They're intermixed with grainy photographs of what looks like a devastated city, Chicago. The news articles describe an outbreak of a virulent version of the Vitas plague in the city and the subsequent quarantine of a zone containing hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people. The newest items are plain text bulletin board postings printed out. The very fact that they're from so crude a site is strange. Very, very few Matrix sites are so plain. Search your mind for an analogous event. It takes a moment, then a similar set of described conditions comes to mind. The 900 Days by Harrison Salisbury, a detailed Russian account of the 20th century Nazi siege of Leningrad, Russia. Identify the source of the printouts. These posts are from the Shadowland. The Shadowland, a dark matrix site for Shadowrunners that operates out of the Denver data haven. It's the first and foremost of all underground and anonymous systems dedicated to Shadowrunning activity. Captain Chaos, Fastjack, and other global shadow decking luminaries appear in these posts. Examine the postings. Files smuggled out from within the containment zone. They describe a cover-up, the detonation of a small nuclear weapon, and the catastrophic release of insect spirits into the city. The current conditions, as reported by drones and escapees, are horrific. Nothing else. Look at the calendar. The Dry East calendar is cluttered with a relentless storm of commitments written in cramped, sloppy Hanzi. Most appear to be medical appointments with patients, followed by a busy list of social engagements. Closer scrutiny reveals others. A basic mechanics class on Wednesday nights, basic computer coding, Sunday afternoons. Before both of these, inked in red marker is, "Prepare lesson plan, you stupid idiot." Holidays, big combat auto races, birthdays. Every Sunday until 4 p.m. is simply labeled engine. Only 5 hours a night are allocated to sleep, but large swaths of time are conspicuously labeled hangover. So yeah. Pretty comfy place you got here at San Ambrose. But now, let's go on to our next run, which will be... Let's see, there it is. Travel to the Repulse Bay Hotel to dig up information on Neville Ma. For this one, I'm thinking we take Isabel, Gobbet, and Duncan. Should be good enough, right? Oh, actually, let me quickly double check on that one. After all, I will freely admit that what I am doing is going to be looking at a particular guide which is of which has been of great help so far. Is it somewhere here? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is the one that I am looking for. Actually, before I go, one thing that I forgot is to speak a little more with our other team members, specifically Gobet and Gaichu. So before we go on that run, let's quickly check up on that one. After all, you do enjoy yapping along with them, don't you? The cabin is in a far better state than it was previously. The heat has been adjusted down and the ventilation restored. The boxes of junk and parts have been stacked and neatly arranged, and Gaichu's small amount of personal gear is tucked away in a corner. There is a small mat in the center of the cabin that looks like it doubles as both a rug and a sleeping pad. Hello again. Is there something I can assist you with? Looks like you've carved out a nice little spot here. If you say so, I doubt it would be suitable for others, but I do not require much in by way of space, and have few possessions. So long as I have a quiet area in which I can sit and relax, I am happy. Now, what is it that you wish to discuss? I want to know more about what it's like to be a ghoul. Preparing for the eventuality of killing me and collecting a bounty? Make sure you leave my face intact. I would prefer to be a well-reserved trophy. Don't worry, I'll have it stuffed and mounted on my wall. Now that would be an illustrious end to my career. A severed head decorating a leaking wreck of a boat, home to extremely private individuals who will never show me off. Couldn't you sell it to a museum or something of that sort? If you wish to know about what it is like to be me, ask away. I see no reason to conceal the details of my mission. So you eat people. What's that like? What is it like to eat anything else, or for a diabetic to take insulin? It is like that, a fact of life. I have found that most people are revolted by the concept of eating the flesh of humans, rather than the act itself. Taken on in isolation or social concerns, humans are no more or less edible than most mammals. The flesh can be of poor or high quality, depending on all the factors you would expect: diet, lifestyle, etc. I prefer to prepare my meals as I would sashimi, light garnish and flavoring, but with an emphasis on the taste of the base meat. Do I enjoy it? No, not especially. Some Japanese are fond of pork and chicken sashimi, but I have never been one of them. But it is a fact I must accept, and it is how things will be. I will make the best of it. Do you feel bad about having to eat people? No, but I was never a vegetarian, so why should I? It does not matter where the meat comes from. Someone who died in a car accident is as viable as someone I kill. I admit I have eaten people that I have killed, but that was of necessity. I was going to kill them anyway, so I let their bodies go to waste. Most ghouls smell like rotting meat. Why don't you? Diet and cleanliness. Most ghouls eat rotting flesh and do not bathe. I eat fresh meat and bathe regularly. Are you immortal? I have no idea. I do not believe there have been any organized studies of ghoul longevity. Most strains of the human metahuman vampiric virus impart a semblance of extended life, but I do not believe that the Krieger strain is one. Somehow, I think it is more likely that I will die in combat than of old age, no matter how long I live. It might be interesting to ask a doctor. To what end? I live by the sword and I will die by it. I have no illusions about my chances of growing old. How would I live out my days? In a rural country, village eating people who happen to expire on nearby roads? That will not be my fate. What's the deal with your teeth? What deal are you referring to? Do you file them down into those points? No, they're actually new teeth created by the infection. I suppose it is a natural advantage to have teeth better suited for carnivorous pursuits. What were you reading? It is called Hakagure, Hidden Leaves, written by Yamamoto Tsunemoto as a treatise on what it means to be a samurai and how one should best serve one's lord. Required reading for the Red Samurai, unsurprisingly. Wasn't he forbidden from killing himself when his lord died? You know of him then? Yes, that is Tsunemoto. He was eager to die and show his loyalty, but Lord Mitsushige had always found that custom to be wasteful. The author has a central thesis. When there is a question of life or death, always choose death. Throw oneself into the fray with no resignation and act on instinct alone. My current state of affairs speaks the truth of this more robustly than any lesson in a dojo. That doesn't sound too different from life in the Redmond Barrens. Truly? I have found a few Shadowrunners in my life, and I admit I have fought a few Shadowrunners in my life, and I admit they have always proven more tenacious opponents than corporate soldiers have. On the street it's always life or death. You get a lot of practice. Then I am not surprised at the prowess of those that I have encountered. Soldiers train, but rarely against real opposition. Tsunemoto believed that to truly embody the virtues of a samurai, adherents should be mindful of their path at all times. Never stop training. Always question how one's actions reflect on their fold. Above all, be prepared to do your duty instinctively at any time, no matter the cost. If I recall correctly, the author was a bureaucrat who never fought anyone. That is true. Tsunemoto never fought anyone, and some have criticized him for trying to speak of being a warrior without ever lifting a sword. But I believe that he has many things of value to say. He cared a great deal about the deeper meaning of being a samurai. If lived experience is the only path to truth, then all philosophers are fools. I would tend to agree with that, actually. Personally speaking. If that is your attitude, then I fear there is precious little I can do to change your mind on the subject. What does he say about masterless samurai like you? 7 times down, 8 times up. More specifically, if a samurai has not been a ronin at least 7 times, then he has not truly lived as a samurai. Those were different times, however. It was common for samurai to fall out of favor with their lord and be turned loose to wander. For company men like myself, the choice is to serve or die. We were talking about your father bailing you out of jail last time. Ah, yes, I do recall you asking about that. Is something the matter? No, No, everything is fine. I will tell you what you wish to know. I simply have not spoken of my family in a long time. Bad memories? No. Quite good ones, actually. I haven't seen Yasujiro in many years, but that is my fault. We may not have seen eye to eye when I was young, but we came to an understanding. Eventually. Yasujiro gave me an ultimatum after my run-in with Shiawase security. He told me that he had cut a backroom deal with a rival in Shiawase to keep me out of prison. The charges would be suspended if I finished high school and studied at Kyoto University with the intent of joining Renraku. If I did not, Shiawase would take me into custody and I would spend time in prison. I'm surprised he cut a deal at all. On some level, I am as well. Those sorts of deals are made all the time between middle managers who compete across corporations, but they are always frowned upon. Usually they are also illegal. I think I took him for granted before that day. I had always taken my family for granted. Raised in a Renraku family, going to Renraku school, I always had a sense of place, of belonging where I was. The thought of all of that vanishing, I simply could not imagine it. Suddenly, the reality of my actions became clear. From then on, I tried to be the son he wanted, and he seemed glad of it. We grew much closer over the next few years. He took time off to visit me when I was living in Kyoto. Why would that be unusual? He was a very busy man in those days, a lot of responsibility and very little time for himself. I was impressed that he could carve off as much time as he did just to go camping with his son. A lot of nice wilderness in that part of Japan, I bet. Very much so. The land around Kyoto is protected from development due to historical and cultural significance. Most of the mountains are considered sacred, so the Diet declared them a national preserve. We made several trips to the area between Kyoto and Nara, around the village of Ide. We camped in the mountains above it. We would hunt wild deer and boar there, using my family's antique arquebus. That's a strange choice of weapon. It is a choice of expediency. It is nearly impossible for a private citizen to own a firearm in Japan, which is why you may so often read of Yakuza attacks involving swords and cleavers. It still holds true to this day, by the way. As the Tanegashima that my family owns is from the 18th century, it is exempt from ordinary regulations. Perhaps ironically, hunting with my father is how I learned to prepare raw meat. Strange to think that such activities served as training for my current state of affairs. So what's the process? How do you prepare it? Soak the meat in brined water and simmer it at a low heat for several hours. Let it cool and repeat the process over several days. It cannot get too hot or I am unable to eat it. This process brings out the collagen in the meat. When it is done, I spice it with ginger and sansho pepper. Again, not too much. Mundane food is anathema to me. Those were the good days. I'm sorry I cannot go back to those times. When one joins the Red Samurai, one must give up all attachments to one's previous life. The company, the code, and the unit become the entirety of your world. Yep, that's a matchlock. Even your family ties had to be cut? Especially those. Anything that could distract you from a mission must be purged. Commitment to the unit and the company must be total. Applicants must be human, Japanese, and utterly devoted to Renraku. Your unit becomes your family. Your commander is your father and mother, your teammates your siblings. Red Samurai are not allowed to reveal our identities and position to anyone outside the Special Operations Group. Even if we wanted friends outside the unit, we could not have them. So how did you end up joining the Renraku military? A fair question given my youthful indiscretions. Are you familiar with the Kempeitai? Aren't they the Japanese political police? Yes. Much like the commissars of the Soviet Union, they are responsible for enforcing political and social orthodoxy. Not only concerned with the army, the Kempeitai also enforce certain laws with regards to the general populace. It's my understanding that they are Gestapo. That is not entirely accurate, but it is more correct than not. It is an organization with little oversight, broad powers, and simple recruitment methods. As such, power tends to get the better of most members. When I was enrolled at Kyoto University, I studied global security and political science. It is the major generally used as a gateway to private security postings with both government and corporate militaries. I knew I wanted to fight. I was a young man and my blood was always up. One of the requirements was that students join the Youth Brigade Kempeitai. The Youth Brigade is a bit like the ROTC in North America, the Young Falcons in the Sayu Nation, or the District Officer Program in the Republic of Korea. Members learn to be soldiers without actually joining an army. They perform community service and promote civic pride. Performance and prestiges in the Kempeitai used to dictate later job opportunities, a bit like a good internship. Seems like the kind of thing Renraku would look favorably upon. When I was in school, the mega corporations looked favorably on youth brigade service. At the time, where the interests of the emperor and the corporations were aligned, a grand drive to return Japanese industry to the forefront of the world economy. Good marks from your youth brigade commander were a sure sign that you would be offered a good position with corporate security, and I wanted to be the best. These days, the mega corporations have begun to resist that kind of nationalism in favor of corporate pride. Youth brigade service is becoming a black mark rather than a positive. I do not know if the alternative is any better, though. When I was nearing graduation, I was approached by a recruiter with Renraku Security. She told me I came from a good family and I could have a promising career with the company. She offered to fast-track my application toward a potential Red Samurai position. 3 years with the Renraku military as a junior officer, and guaranteed placement in a Red Samurai training billet of my choosing. The pay was good, and the excitement of being an elite was an attractive proposition. I accepted, but I did not truly understand what I was signing up for. As I told you before, they force you to give up everything except the company and unit. That was made clear to me, but I did not truly understand it. Did you regret your decision? On the whole, no. I do not know who I could have been had I not joined. Perhaps there are things that I miss, but regret is perpetual. One is always tempted to ask what if, but that is a trap. This is who I became. The armor was my protection and my identity. The training was extremely difficult, both mentally and physically. I knew that I would be isolated from my old life, but did not anticipate the full extent of that isolation. All Red Samurai recruits report to a facility called The Forge in Chiba. You are assigned a unit, you and your 4 other recruits, and for the next 2 years the Forge will be your home and prison. It seems ridiculous in retrospect. We were all so young. None of us had any idea what we were doing except trying to become the best soldiers in the world. And yet those strangers became my new family in the absence of old. Tell me about the members of your unit. That chapter of my life is over and done with, and they're no longer part of my world. Why would you care about any of that? If they're still hunting you, I need to know about them. Very well. That is a fair point. When I was younger, I would have more readily cut off my fingers than tell you what you ask. You must understand that secrecy is absolute among the Red Samurai. Your identity becomes secret, erased from any database that might connect you to the Red Samurai. You use only your code name when in the field, and your given name is known only to your commanders and your unit. Even other Red Samurai units have no idea who you really are. Contact with the outside world is cut off completely. Even once training is over, your communications are restricted. Maintaining relationships outside of those you work with is frowned upon. That's a lot of stress. What if a recruit can't take it? Very few recruits get to this point if they cannot handle it. We all underwent stringent psychological tests prior to this point. If a recruit cannot handle it, he and the rest of his unit are failed out of the program. The rationale is simple. If one member cannot take the training and his unit cannot carry him through, they have all failed. Ishida was our commander. He came from a rich family in Saitama, the kind of family where he was given every advantage possible, with the expectation that he would keep the family name prestigious. He was older than the rest of us, as he'd already spent 6 years in the army. A very severe man, rarely given to humor. Takagawa was usually the second in command. As our designated marksman, he tended to have a better tactical view of how an operation should be run, simply because he needed to study the terrain more. He loved to get us laughing. Without him, I think we would have gone crazy in the first few months. Our mage's name was Sasaki. She had been in training as a Miko, an apprentice priestess, when her magic began to manifest. She was in a unit for the challenge and for the money. Her family had always been poor, and they had always told her she would never amount to anything. I think she had joined the Red Samurai just to prove to them that she would do anything she wanted. Sounds like she may have been overcompensating. If she was, it was for the good of the team. I have never met anyone so focused on their goals, or so certain that they would achieve them. She was a remarkable woman. Our heavy gunner's name was Aomori. He kept the team honest with himself. He never had a disparaging word for anyone, but would not hesitate to call someone out for their behavior. Sasaki loved that about him. Really, she loved all of him. The two were discreet, but discretion only goes so far in such a small team. Still, we respected their privacy where possible. Is that kind of thing allowed? If the unit commander allows it, yes, but we're given incredibly wide leeway in what to allow or forbid in our unit, the belief being that results were the only thing that mattered. If the unit failed, it would fail it as a whole. Sasaki and Aomori were crazy about each other, and it would have done more harm to keep them apart. Lastly, there was me. I was the close quarters and breaching expert, the first man in the door when we had to clear a room. I was the perfectionist of the team. Aomori could get us to do anything, but I was the one who made certain we did it well. With style. How do you mean? If a thing is worth doing, it is worth doing well. If that thing is also your duty, it is worth doing perfectly. Many times we would perform a drill or exercise well enough, but that was not good enough if I had to trust my life to it. That was why we became one of the best teams in the organization's history. That's a thing to be proud of. Of course it is. Do you think I do not know that? I apologize. It's just that those feelings are still raw sometimes. Even if we were to be cured, if I were to be cured, I could never go back. They have been disgraced, and I have done unforgivable things. I should listen more of Gaichu's ramblings. Well, just a little bit more. What do you mean? When they ambushed me in Fukuoka, it was fight or die. I killed 2 of them before I escaped. I will not be returning to the unit no matter what. It is not an easy memory to grapple with. That's fine, Gaichu. Take your time. Thank you. I'm sorry I cannot talk about it for now, but I need to process the emotions. They're still raw. I'm tired. Come back later, and we can talk more. And now, you're free to go rest. I'll sit around for a little more, possibly chat with Gobbet and Isabel, and then we can go on the run. Take care. You know, the big Texas has really been shaping up over the past few days. With all the work that we've been putting into her, she's starting to feel like a real home. Anyway, enough about the boat. Ready for your next lesson? Or did you just want to chat? Thank you as well. I'm ready for my next lesson. Yeah? That's good. I was hoping that you'd want to keep going with this. It's good for you, and I'm kind of enjoying it too. Alright, this is gonna be another long story, so I'm thinking we should take it in chunks. If you've got any questions, you can ask them along the way, and if you need to take a break, we can come back to it. Sound good? Sure, sounds good. Good. So last time, I told you about the event that brought an end to my illustrious career as a subcontractor. This time, I'm gonna tell you about a run that I went on with my regular team. Was this where you started running with Isabel? No, this was long before Iz hit the streets as a runner. We were friends and everything, but she was still learning to deck back then. She was good for her age, but she wasn't ready for prime time. You don't know anyone from the group that I'm talking about. They're all gone now anyway. Wait, you lost 3 other teams before you hooked up with me? Yeah, I did. Thanks for rubbing it in. Sorry. Don't worry about it, I'm fine. When you run the shadows, losing people is an occupational hazard. As Shadowrunners, we're disposable assets. It shouldn't come as a surprise when we get used up and tossed away. It was the same way in the Barrens. Here today, gone tomorrow. Yeah, you know how it is. People die and it's sad, but there is no sense moping about it. So how did you meet this group of yours? Through mutual friends. We actually all lived together before we decided to start running as a team. There was this floating squatters commune out in Hung Hom Bay. It's probably still out there, actually. I haven't been back in a long time, but I spent a few years living in one other thing, and the rest of the team lived there with me. Squatters commune? Yep, we called it the sinking ship. It was like an enormous raft all bolted together from old shipping containers. It wasn't the most comfortable place I've ever lived, but the price was right and the company was good. So tell me about the team you were running with. Sure. Our muscle was a Hawaiian Jew with poor impulse control. Big round guy with lumberjack arms and ringlets in his hair. He called himself Honu. I guess that he loved turtles? I don't know, street names are weird. We had a tech specialist, Igret. She was tall, gawky, dyed her hair bone white. She had a drone named Ario, or Arlo, that followed her around like a lost puppy. She was kind of a jack of all trades, but she could get the job done. Fun at parties, too. Our de facto team leader was a guy named Tsui. He was a wiry troll, if you can imagine that. Probably about 2% body fat, all skin and bones, walked with a hunch to make himself look smaller. He was a shaman, followed rat, like me. Sounds like an interesting group of people. It was, but then everyone I've worked with has been interested in his or her own way. As a rule, shadowrunning isn't a profession that attracts boring people. I'd like to hear more about the sinking ship. Let's hold off on that one a little bit, okay? I'd like to get through the rest of the story before we spend any more time on the raft. After your lesson's over, I'll tell you whatever you want to know about the commune, but for now, I'd rather not get sidetracked. Okay, I think that I've got a grasp on the team dynamic. Keep going. Alright, moving on. So one day, Tsui brought us a job. He'd met a client in a Victoria Harbor bar, a rich Eastern Tiger exec. The guy wanted us to steal something for him. A shiny object. I know, it's stupid, right? But that was how the Johnson described it to us. The shiny object. That was what he wanted us to get. He never gave it any other name. Seriously? A red shaman hired to steal a shiny object? Yeah, you can see how the gig would be hard for us to resist. Anyway, the client told us what to look for. He described it as a chunk of red jade about the size and shape of an ostrich egg, with a mirror-polished surface and gold wire inlays. He said that it'd have paper charms hanging off of it, Fu talismans, Taoist sorcery stuff. We weren't supposed to touch those. The client also told us about the shiny object's then owner, an old hedge wizard turned entrepreneur named Kong Zhuyan. Hedge wizard? So you were supposed to steal a crystal ball from a wizard, essentially. When you boil it down like that, it sounds kind of silly, doesn't it? But hey, that's the world we live in. And like I said, Zhuyan wasn't just a wizard. He was an entrepreneur, a business wizard. The guy had resources. From what we were told, the old man was keeping the shiny object in one of his warehouses. He had a bunch of them. He'd built himself a nice little empire selling magical paraphernalia through puppet vendors in the Yao Ma Tei night market. Supposedly, a good fifth of the stalls in that place were on Zhuyan's payroll. Yeah? What kind of magical paraphernalia are we talking about? Pickled reagents in mason jars, hermetic scrolls and charms, relics looted from Buddhist temples, crates of old Balinese Rangda masks, and fist-sized stones from a great dragon's kidney. Zhuyan sold it all. How he got his hands on it in the first place is anyone's guess. Some of that stuff sounds valuable. Yeah, I'm sure that some of it was. Most of it was crap, though, fakes and forgeries to sell to gullible tourists. Sifting the good stuff from the bad would have taken time, and we weren't planning on sticking around long enough to do that. Fair enough. So we cased the warehouse for a couple of nights before the run. You know, did some recon, took some notes. From what we'd seen, we were pretty sure that Zhuyan was keeping our payday in vault area at the very back of the building. Security was pretty heavy, though. He was paying a local triad for protection, and he kept a lot of their boys on staff. Tsui was the one who came up with a plan. We'd split up outside and enter the warehouse in two teams. Team A would create a diversion, Team B would hit the vault while security was looking the other way. We'd grab our payday, regroup, and get the hell out of there. In my experience, splitting the group is almost always more trouble than it's worth. I'd agree with you if we were going in expecting a straight fight, But as Shadowrunner, you should almost never want to get into one of those. When you're on a job, you're always going to be outnumbered and outgunned. Going quiet is inherently safer than going loud, and if splitting the group is what it takes to do that... Anyway, Team A, Honu and Egret, circled around to be the loading dock, just like we'd planned. Tsui and I waited by the service entrance. We didn't have to wait long. A couple of minutes in, we heard this ungodly crash. Then another, and another. As it turned out, Egret had rigged into Zhuyan's network of automated forklifts. She had 6 of them running amok in the loading dock, chasing down workers and crashing themselves into anything marked fragile. Subtle. That wasn't supposed to be subtle. She was making a distraction, remember? Honestly, Seattle, you need to start paying attention. Anyway, Egret's distraction did what it was supposed to do. As Tsui and I watched, most of the Triad guys at the service entrance abandoned their posts and went hauling off towards the loading dock. A couple of guys with baseball bats stayed back, but we handled them easily enough. We slipped inside and made a beeline for the back of the warehouse, where the shiny object was supposed to be. Let me guess, something went wrong. No, actually, it was there, just like we thought it'd be. The door was open and everything. The shiny object was sitting there in a teak cradle, gleaming with reflected light. Just like the client had said, it had a ring of Taoist talismans hanging off of it like a glass skirt, the paper all crinkled with age. We didn't waste any time. I reached in and grabbed it and then grabbed the thing. It felt strange through my gloves. The jade sort of, pulsed, as if it had a heartbeat. That sounds ominous. Yeah, let me tell me about it. I wanted to drop the thing, but it was our payday, so I slipped it into my satchel instead. I couldn't get the flap closed quickly enough. The package being secure, Tsui and I turned to hightail it out of there. And then things went to shit. Did he run into more security? Worse. Old man Zhuyan himself was standing right there in front of us, larger than life, with sparks shooting out of his eyes. I'm guessing that when he heard the commotion in the loading dock, he'd come running, while waddling to make sure that his treasure was safe. And as it turns out, it wasn't, because I'd already stolen it. He looked displeased. What did you do? What do you think we did? He had our backs to a wall. We lit the old bastard up. It was pretty epic, truth be told. Spirits were summoned, spells were discharged, the vault door sealed behind Zhuyan like something out of a movie. At one point, the old man leapt onto Tsui's back and tried to bite his ear off. I won't bore you with play-by-play of how the fight went down. In the end, we crushed him. Unfortunately, the fighting had caused some collateral damage. At some point during our showdown with Zhuyan, the control panel for the vault door must have eaten an arc of lightning or the blast of a powerball. It was toast, all black and melted, and neither of us could fix it. So you were trapped in a vault? Yeah, that's about the size of it. And it was only a matter of time before the old man's remaining security guys found us in there. There was still one way out, a ventilation duct up high in the rafters. But it was too small for Tsui to fit through. He was a troll after all. I had the shiny object, but if I left Tsui here, there and security got to him, well, you do the math. So, here's the conundrum. I've got our payday in my satchel. The team is split. It's inevitable that more tried 49ers are gonna find us, but we don't know when or how many. Egret and Honu are holding their own in the loading dock for now. I can stay with Tsui to help fight off the inevitable wave of tried 49ers, but we'll be badly outmatched, like, badly. The odds of survival won't look good for either of us. If Egret weren't pinned down in the loading dock, she could probably get the vault door open, but in order to get to her, I'll have to leave Tsui alone in the vault. If Zhuyan's reinforcements find Tsui before I get back with Egret, well... So that's the scenario, Seattle. Not a lot to work with, I know. Now tell me, what should I do? Take the gamble and go for Egret. It's the plan with the best chance of success. Could have done that, I guess. It might have worked. Of course, it could have gotten Tsui gunned down in a vault too, but in retrospect, that wouldn't have been a huge loss. Anyway, that wasn't what I did. I saw what I thought could be a way to save the day, so I went ahead and took it. I fished the shiny object out of my bag. I still remember how the Taoist talismans had ringed the thing crinkled in my hands. I remember shrugging, saying the hell with it. I put the thing in Sui's bare hands and told him to go nuts. I was almost like Sui had been waiting for me to pass him the thing. He seemed eager to take it. He hugged that chunk of rock to his chest like a newborn baby. Colors swam in the stone, and something changed in his eyes. Then old man Juyan's 49ers breached the door, and Sui unleashed hell. What went down in that room? Well, I've only seen that kind of damage a couple of times in my life, and I've been running the shadows for years. Those Triad men were torn to scraps by the end of it. Don't think I'll ever forget the sounds that they made. I spent most of my fight huddled up in the corner for my own safety. What Sui let loose from the stone didn't seem terribly interested in discriminating between friend and foe. What do you mean by that? Did he summon hostile spirits or something? Something like that. Truth be told, I don't know what they were. Like, I said I was hiding, but he couldn't have done it without the shiny object. Not in a million years. Whatever they were, the rock brought them here. So what happened then? We waited for things to calm down in the vault and for the things to go slithering away. I think that Tsui had some limited control over them, which is why they didn't eat us. After they were gone, Tsui gave me the shiny object back, I put it in my satchel, and we bailed. We collected the others on the way out. They were blissfully ignorant of what happened on the other side of the warehouse, and I didn't see a reason to change that. We hightailed it back to the docks and caught the first boat back to the sinking ship. Mission accomplished. From what I'm told, people still avoid Juyan's warehouse like the plague. It's supposed to be haunted even to this day. People who set foot in the building keep turning up dead. Pretty sure I'm one of the only living people who knows why. Anyway, that's it. Lesson's over. If you've got any questions, go ahead. Now, can you tell me more about the sinking ship? Yeah, sure. The story's over, so we can get into it. I moved onto the sinking ship when I was just a kid. I think that I was 12, maybe 13 years old at the time. In the beginning, it was just me and a couple of rat shaman friends, Cadmus and Malvina. They were older, but they were always cool to me. Is it typical for groups of rat shamans to congregate like that? Not terribly, no. I mean, we have lodges, same as any other groups of shamans, but you can usually find a few of us hanging out in those. I guess that there was just something special about our little group. Or maybe about the sinking ship. We liked it. We felt at home there. Didn't hear that the sinking ship was well stocked and provisioned with when we found it, either. And don't look at me like that. It was abandoned when we took it. Abandoned? There was a team of Shadowrunners that had lived on the thing before us, but they bid it on a job. Cat and Mel heard the knock of an opportunity, and they claimed the raft for the rat in record time. Taking over the sinking ship wasn't an easy job, mind you. The previous owners had installed traps and automated defenses all over the raft. Cat had his hands full with those for a month. Sounds really cozy, Gobbet. Like a floating death trap. That actually isn't too far off. There were explosives, pop turrets, and all that sort of good stuff. Cat and his sister Yasmin took care of most of it without too much trouble, though. The biggest problems were the scuttling charges. The runners who built the raft had installed these explosives in all along the perimeter that had ripped the bottom out of the thing if it were seized by the police. The explosives were tricky to deal with. Cat was able to disarm them, but he had to leave them where they were. It was always just slightly uncomfortable knowing that I was sleeping on top of a couple of 100 pounds of dormant explosives. Yeah, I can't blame you there. Hey, like I said, it was free. There weren't really even any rules to follow, which suited me fine. Malvina was sort of the leader of our little nest, but we would never really listen to her. She was always trying to play the mom card and instill a sense of responsibility into us. It was cute. She did have a propensity for getting things done, though. I have to give her that. Anyway, after a few months, other people started showing up. Squatters, homeless people, Shadowrunners, and assorted crazies. As long as they stayed cool with us, we were cool to them. Eventually, it became a community. Imagine that. Think you wound up squatting in the big Texas because of your time on the sinking ship? I don't know. Maybe. Never really thought about it before, but yeah, maybe. I guess that I'm a water rat now. So, Gobbet, was there a point to this story? I'm trying to find a moral here. There was when I started telling it. I thought I was gonna tell you to be comfortable with breaking the rules. I don't think I'm gonna say that now, though. I'm not feeling it anymore. Why not? At least your team made it out of this run alive. They didn't stay that way for long. But let's leave that for next time, huh? I don't want to get into it just now. Okay, we'll come back to this later. Of course. So, was there something else that you wanted to talk about? Any thoughts about that last run? That was awesome. Think about it. We broke into some rich jerk's manor store house, stole his artifacts and so they could go to a museum, and we fought mummies. If that's not the plot of a thread blockbuster, I don't know what is. I'm not sure what I think about that mummy's trinket. I've never had a dead person owe me a favor before. I'm not even sure how that works. Be careful when you use that trinket. As long as he does what we tell him to, that's pretty much awesome. But if the threads taught me anything, it's that mummies are always waiting for an excuse to run around cursing everybody. That's all for now. Yeah, hey Seattle. I'm sorry that this lesson wound up getting a little unfocused at the end. I'm not really sure what came over me. Happens to the best of us. Well, I still feel bad about it, so look, I'll make you a deal. Your next lesson will definitely be on point, and I'll tell you what it's about up front. No more questions and answer sessions. How does that sound? Fine by me, Gobbet. Catch you next time. Next time. And our show continues for a little bit. At least until we talk to Isabel. I saw that you accepted my offer. That was the right choice, you'll see. I'm ready to make out our run on deck on whenever you are. Nice avatar. That's a good look on you. Isn't it? I spent months customizing this avatar. She feels more real to me than my own skin. You really feel at home in the Matrix, don't you? You look happy in there. I suppose that I am. It's a comfort thing. As long as I'm jacked in, I can be whoever I want to be. Whatever I want to be. Out there in meat space, I usually feel uncomfortable in my own skin. I'd probably just live in here if I could. I've heard about deckers who've tried it. It never turned out well. Dehydration is a bad way to go. I know, and of course I was joking, but truth be told, I do spend most of my time out there wishing that I were back in here. If you were a decker, you'd feel the same. It's hard to live in a cage of meat when you know how sweet it feels to leave your body behind. Well, gotta go now. Grow by any time. Oh, and before I forget, let's speak to Rector. My friend, there is something that I would like to discuss with you. Something related to the Ares run that you recently accepted. You may recall my story about my former colleagues, Taylor and Huntingham, the ones who stole my research. They work at that facility. If the auto-repair circuits that they took from me still exist, they are there. I need you to bring me on the run to retrieve them. Of course, you'll be the first man on the train when we head out. Thank you, my friend. You will not regret this decision. I guarantee it. Now, sorry about the smell. It's long past time to purge the coolant sump. If I had access to the proper equipment, this would not be a problem. I could clean the fluid and reuse it, but alas, halogen treatment chambers are rather hard to come by, even in a place like Hawaii. Anyway, my friend, you didn't come here to discuss the ins and outs of shop maintenance, I'm sure. So what does bring you here? Any thoughts about that last run? An interesting diversion. The mummies that we encountered were fascinating. Dead flesh reanimated by the controlling will of an astral being bound within. Of course, the notion that these creatures are genuine reincarnations of long-dead humans is ludicrous. There is nothing innately magical about human consciousness. The soul is an antiquated concept rooted in wistful thinking. Thankfully, your deal has earned us the means to summon one of these entities. I would like to study it. Dissection would be best, but given the circumstances, I suppose that external observation will do. Good work, all the same. My notes will be richer for it. I've been thinking about what we talked about last time. Mind if I ask you a few questions? Be my guest. I have no secrets to keep. About the drone self-repair system that you invented, how did it work? There were three distinct elements to my approach. When these elements were all working in concert, prototypes that utilized the process displayed remarkable self-repair capabilities. This may be a lengthy explanation. I can skim over it if you please, or I can break it down to you if you're genuinely interested. Give it to me in bold strokes. I don't need the nuts and bolts, I just want the basics. Yes, fine, I'll give you the short version. The first element of the process was a self-healing biomimetic skin. It was capable of self-repairing any superficial wounds that a drone might suffer, injuries that hadn't damaged the machine's underlying structure. The second element was an internal structure built from self-assembling materials and utilizing redundant systems. Any damage that the skin could not heal could be repaired or replaced. The third and final element was a magical component that served to stave off entropy and render the first two systems self-perpetuating. You can think of magic as the lubrication that kept the gears running. An unfortunate but necessary concession. And this package of systems is what your former colleagues stole from you. What you need to get back? Yes, given enough time and resources, I might be able to recreate the first two components of the system on my own. But the magical component is, and will forever be, completely beyond me. That is why it is so important that we recover my research, and the prototype of that was stolen. And we will recover them. Of that I have no doubt. What do you think a post-human future would mean? Freedom. The ultimate freedom to direct our own progress, and to steer ourselves as a people in whatever direction we wish. Consider, my friend, every aspect of Koshchei was tailor-made for a purpose, dreamed up, designed, and built by a singular guiding intellect. You sound awfully proud of yourself. I see no shame in taking pride in my work. I believe that the fruits of my labor speak for themselves. Now, getting back on track, think of the circumstances surrounding your own birth, the building blocks that shaped you into the living being that you are. Your mother and father exchanged fluids, sloppily, no doubt, and with all the mindless abandon that such biological imperatives entail. I don't even want to think about that. Just an example, my friend, just an example. Substitute in my parents instead, or any other parent that you choose to imagine, if it makes you more comfortable. The important thing is that the forces that shaped you, and me, and the other upstairs, and anyone else you could care to mention, were ultimately mindless ones, blind, manipulative biological drives that led a sperm and an egg to collide. And in a roll of the dice, the dash of Mendelian genetics, and here you are. The natural processes of evolution and sexual selection guide the development of our species through trial and error. Throw a few billion darts at the wall and see what sticks. In the future that I foresee, this process will be reined in, guided by our own controlling intellects. To co-opt an antiquated phrase, the myth of intelligent design will become a reality, but we will be our own gods, reshaping ourselves as we see fit. Let me get this straight. You're a scientist, possibly mad, who is literally telling me that he wants to play God. How cliched is that? Look around you. Everything about the world that we inhabit bears the stamp of metahuman tampering, from the food that we eat to the homes that we live in to the air we breathe. Playing God is a meaningless term. We've been reshaping our environment since time immemorial. All that I'm advocating is a further refinement of the process. Step back for a moment and imagine a future in which we have fully integrated with machines. Really imagine it. There will be no niche that we cannot fill. We can guide our own evolution, tailor ourselves to whatever environment we see fit. We will no longer be slaves to the selective processes that have dictated our development since time immemorial. Let's say you're right. At what point do we cease being human and become something else instead? Whatever we choose to define ourselves in that way, humanity is an intrinsically human concept. If we decide to rebrand ourselves as a different species, that is our decision to make. I strongly suspect that nobody else would care. There are other forms of intelligent life out there, Rector. Dragons, for example. They might care. Perhaps, but for the sake of our continued development, that's a risk that I'm willing to take. We cannot limit ourselves out of fear of what others might think. Koshei raises up itself up on its legs, stretching so that the Raptor can caress its chassis. The motion is alarmingly fluid, more like a living being than a machine. Raptor traces its fingertips over the drone's shell, his eyes focused on an imaginary point on the horizon. We have placed such unnecessary limitations on ourselves, my friend. It fills my heart with sorrow to know that we could be, but we are not. I would see those limits stripped away, peeled back and discarded for the betterment of all. In the future that I foresee, we will open our eyes to the possibilities that surround us. Bodies reshaped to thrive in the deep ocean and the depths of space. Bodies inspired by nature, or the human imagination, or both. Bodies that can be used and shed and used again, inhabited as their wearers see fit. The timely realization that of such a future is what drives me forward. It is the cause to which I have devoted my life, and thankfully, it is inevitable. Assuming, of course, that we don't destroy ourselves first. There's a hard limit to the fusion of man and machine. Does not your vision of a future require us to get past that? You are speaking of the essence limit, and the problems associated with essence loss. Yes, of course, it will be a problem. But as with all problems, a workaround will present itself. Of this, I'm certain. What workaround? Essence loss would always be a problem. To deny that would be wishful thinking. Always is a dangerous word, my friend. I would encourage you to broaden your thinking. I am confident that you will reach the same conclusion on your own. For the time being, let us leave the matter at hand at that. So in this post-human future that you're trying to bring about, what role would a drone like Koshei play? A similar one to the role that he plays now, I imagine. He was designed for a purpose, after all. That said, I can see the techniques that went into his design and fabrication having much broader ranging applications. You're pretty attached to the drone of yours, aren't you? You haven't assigned it a gender. You keep calling it a him. Yes, of course, Koshei is very close to me. As if on cue, the drone scuttles forward, the hardened tips of the claws screeching across the metal floor of the shop. It comes up short just in front of you, a strange mechanical chitter rising from deep within its chassis. You might accuse me of anthropomorphizing my little companion, assigning human characteristics to him where in fact there are none. Truth be told, there is much more to Koshei than meets the eye. But that is different conversation, one best suited to be held for another time. Why? Why don't I talk about it now? Because I have work to do, and I'm sure that you can find better uses for your time than listening to me prattle on. And with that, I'm afraid that I must ask you to show yourself out. We can continue our talk at a later time. Alright, we'll talk later. Good night. And on that note, I think we are also done for tonight. I'd like to thank you all for coming, and I will see you at another time at a later date. Well, by later date I of course mean next Wednesday, but you get what I mean. This story will continue, and we will see it to its end. Let's just go back to the main menu to close it off properly, and there. I'd like to thank you all for coming, and I will see you all next time.